I took an intellect over to Africa in the Peace Corps, and then I was introduced to my heart on some level. I love Jay Dyer. I tried to get him to just cry or something. That was not going to happen. I have a question for you.
Sure.
You want to go down a rabbit hole? I was in New York on 9/11. This is what I want to tell the red pill guys. You still ain't going to do nothing about it.
I agree.
Because we're using a Christian template. You save the world by just being beautiful to one person. And don't forget, I can make Jesus happy by making more money. In other words, that whole Protestant work ethic is fine. The problem is not that it gets you more money. The problem is it gets you less love. What is actually happening right now? I look down at my screen. What part of you am I seeing? I don't have answers. Mostly I have questions, and sometimes I ask good ones.
Word no more network.
Gotta remember where to look.
Well, look wherever you want because we're live, man. And I'm going to definitely keep that in. We're live. Oh, I didn't even tell you. This is a pre-record. So it's when I say live.
I was going to say, we're not live.
No, we're not live. It's just I hit the button. And
but are you live. One of those? You're one of those, I don't cut it, so you're basically live? One of those guys? I like those guys.
Yeah, I'm a combination of guys. So I do the live, like actual live, and then I do these. But I always find the pre-records, you get a more intimate conversation for some reason. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if the audience affects it. What do you think about that?
It's a stage.
Yeah, it's a stage.
Because it's still a stage. All of a sudden, also, there's consciousnesses around. So that has to be, hate to sound like one of these crystal guys, but that's an energy, that's a reality, that's a truth that's somehow in that screen, which that's the part about the screens that I think is most fascinating with all these conversations is like, what is actually happening right now? I look down at my screen. What part of you am I seeing? It's pretty freaky, actually. Mm-hmm. I don't have answers. Mostly I have questions, and sometimes I ask good ones, and then sometimes people answer, and then we have good podcasts on my podcast, like you're doing. Well, I won't. Let's hope it's good.
Well, it already started off proper, because that is a big focus on what we do here. Just generally speaking, in the Board No More universe, we like to look at these things, like the technology. Are we using the technology, or the technology using us? And I think you're 100% correct on the consciousness thing, not to sound all woo-woo, although I kind of came out of a little bit of that background, but more from like...
You feel like you got a little woo-woo in you?
I got a bit. I got a left over, but I'm kind of moving it over to the Orthodox mysteries rather than...
right.
You know what I mean? And
right.
I'm kind of like looking at some of the things I had studied and looked into over the years from an Orthodox lens, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of things that were described in that world that I was in, but are actually, there's a far better explanation given from the Orthodox perspective for obvious reasons. But if I'm just looking at it philosophically, it answered a lot of my questions. You know what I mean? For
sure. Well, we're recording, don't be mad, people, on Unction Wednesday, so the middle of Holy Week. This will probably be my last. I'm like an Orthodox Jew. I'm going to stop moving around after this. I'm just going to stop moving. I'm going to stay within the wires, the fishing string, and then I'm going to stay in my house. I mean, kind of Orthodox Christians do that a little bit on these holy weeks, right? These holy days. I'm going to kind of tuck myself in, start going to, I went to some on Monday and Tuesday, some bridegroom services, but here's the thing. It's like, don't tell anybody, but this is unction. It's Wednesday of a blessing with oil. So think about that for a second. So like the oil, yeah. I got an non-Orthodox friend who runs a restaurant with me. His name is Evan. Shout out to Evan. I recommend that all of you meet him at some point. He's insane, but also I like him a lot. And he's watching, because the restaurant where we work, where we started this nonprofit, the restaurant called KEIPI, K-E-I-P-I. I'm shilling for it, but that restaurant is real dear to our work at First Things, and so Evan runs it, not Orthodox. And so last night, Father Stephen, a good friend of mine and a priest, came down and blessed the restaurant. Evan couldn't be there, but he asked me like 10 questions today. Like, what happened? Was it brighter in there after he was finished? Like, what will I be able to notice it when I come in? He's asking all these woo-woo questions, which I find fascinating, because when a priest throws water around and you're saying it's a purification, that's pretty woo-woo, bro. Like, it doesn't. That's why I love when people are, when they're brought closer to the mysteries, they don't have to understand them properly. Who cares? He was telling me, my priest was telling me last night, he's like, you know what? I think I've not got this right. I think I've been hoarding all the things. Like, I should go out. He's working hard in the, I go to a parish in Asheville. And so Asheville got whacked by the hurricane. And he was out among, the unwashed Protestants. And he was out there doing his thing and trying to deliver some goods and just being one of the people who were putting their hands on trying to help people. Which, by the way, that's called Christianity. And so he was out doing that, and he had revelations, many of them, and awakenings to, like, we should be out here. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Why are the Orthodox, our job is to hold tight to the mysteries and also share them.
Yes.
But you got to watch out, right? Like, what does that mean? Well, you can throw holy water on people, especially if they're asking for it. Why not?
I agree.
Is that pearl the swine? I don't think so. I think you got a bunch of people lining up trying to fix a house, and you roll up and you're an Orthodox priest and you say, I'll do that. None of them are Orthodox, and you bless it with water. What's the problem?
I fully agree with that, and actually, that's a good way to kind of segue into like some of the things that, like, we don't even have to like stop and change direction. It's actually going in the exact direction. That's kind of what I found. I mean, I don't have as much experience of around the world as you do. Well, not even close. But when I moved to Mexico and I started living amongst the Mexicans, right off the kick, I avoided. Not that I avoided the gringos, but like I kind of didn't want that. I wanted to kind of, you know what I mean? I guess I kind of did. And I moved to a couple different places in Mexico, and both places I was in like legitimate Mexican neighborhoods, and I was kind of blown away by the way Mexicans live, like actual Mexicans. And there is a heavy Christianity in the way they live, not Orthodox by any means, but they really take care of each other. You know what I mean? And some of the things that you learned in the Peace Corps, like riff on that, like, because I'm sure you've seen some stuff.
Well, the problem is the world is too complex for the human mind, and we keep the mind. The soul can understand the world. Meaning the nous, if it's open, and not that but we know this from our traditions. Like Saint Seraphim was in two places at once because his soul was navigating in a complexity we can't understand with the mind. The nerd mind people are like, let's figure that out. Let's establish his location at 12:41 a.m. And so that's fine. You can try. You won't be able to get it done. And what I realized, I took an intellect over to Africa in the Peace Corps, and then I was introduced to my heart on some level. Like, oh, this is the person also who you are. You're not just your intellect. And how was I introduced? Fundamentally by Muslims to some pretty hardcore hospitality.
Right.
So what's hospitality? This is what it would look like. I don't know that you can do this. You're in Mexico, so maybe perhaps in Mexico. Try it like in Scottsdale, Arizona. But so you just walking along. I mean walking. Because that matters a lot, right? In America, if you walk up on somebody, that's a lot different than you drive up. If you drive up, you've established a sort of a middle income identity. But if you walk up, probably something's wrong with you in Scottsdale, in the suburbs. And so, but in Africa, everybody's walking, and then you walk up, and you're thirsty because you're trying to get from one village to the next, but you've never been to this village, and you walk into the village and everyone stares at you, and then they feed you, but they don't know you. You barely speak their language. So I think in America, maybe not in my neighborhood, no one would do that. There would be a problem. Someone would want to know what your problem is. And So what would happen by the end of after I was fed? It might take a while because they don't have refrigerators. Most of the villages we work in and I was in didn't have refrigerators, so you might have to wait a while. So guess what happens? Not much, except for people come and sit down and then they start talking to you. And what happens is all of that is not for your mind. It's not. That's not an interaction of you can make it into one. You can try to figure out who they are using math or whatever, or using the rational faculties.
Yep.
But they're not using them the same way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that they're not using them at all, but they're secondary to that moment where they're trying to show you hospitality because they're trying to be obedient to something like culture and or the Quran. And what I find is the Christians, remember, Islam is a Christian heresy. So that also means that they're close. Because you don't have heretics that are far. Heretics are close by definition. And so what I often find is that they're mimicking in the Middle East, because everyone knows Muslims have great hospitality. That's like a known thing when you travel. And if you don't know that, it's probably because you're in America. No offense to anybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows when you travel in Middle Eastern countries, people are very generous and hospitable. But that's because in some ways they learned it from that milieu, which was a Christian milieu there in the 600s AD. And that Christian milieu is hardcore hospitality, which is hardcore healing hospital, which is hardcore heart. Yep. And I love people. My wife works at a hospital. She's a nurse practitioner. I love her. I wish she would join it. She refuses to be seen online. In fact, she may not exist.
Yeah.
You could try to Google her, like one picture comes up. She might not exist. Like going forward in the digital world, she may be not real.
Well, I've heard people have seen her with you, so there's confirmation.
I don't think so, man. Find them. I'm gonna kill them.
Find
them. We have
Jay
to kill
Dyer saw her.
Jay Dyer did see her.
Yeah.
Hey, I interviewed Jay. You saw it?
I did see it. It was fantastic.
I love Jay Dyer. I tried to get him to just like cry or something. That was not gonna happen.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen. Wouldn't
it have been great if I get Jay to like go?
Yeah.
Well, when I was a child,
Actually, that was a pretty good imitation of Jay. Actually,
it was pretty good, right? This is serious face Jay.
Yeah.
I think he would cry teeth out. Are you a teeth out crier? Dude, I cry all the time. It's terrible.
Yeah, it depends. I have 2-3 types of crying. One is definitely teeth out. It's the ugly cry. You know what I mean? The ugly cry.
The ugly cry. For those of you who are listening, I'm doing it. Don't tune in to the visual because it's the. But then, are you teeth in? I'm a teeth in crier at the table when I'm tumming up.
You gotta hold it in, man. You gotta get serious.
Yeah, hold it, bro.
Yeah, hold it, bro.
And then I try to cover my mouth. It's tough, but I'm a crier. I don't know. As I get older, I'm crying more. But anyway, I do think that after my experience in West Africa and Mali, and then later on in Sierra Leone and Haiti, which is an extraction of African culture. By the way, African culture is a little misleading.
Yep.
Because West African culture is very different than East African culture. Okay. And North Africa is fundamentally different, and also the degree to which the pockets of culture took Islam matters, and the degree to which they took Protestant Christianity matters a lot. And then there's Juju, which is sort of the underlying chassis. So I could get into the whole idea of how clueless Westerners are about some of these places where I've lived, including the Caucasus and Georgia. The way people transpose their Western Christianity and Western culture on top of places like Maya and Guatemala. I'm not saying you got to know everything, but you do have to be humble, especially if you're a Christian. And so you can't arrive at a place with certain presuppositions about how faulty people are. That's like a disaster. Just think about the disaster. By the way, we don't like it when people arrive in America that way. These are greedy bastards who only care about money. Like, who wants that person around?
It's so true. I think that has been my small experience worldwide, and I definitely saw it in Mexico because like the preconceived notions I had going to Mexico, and then when I hear people tell me what they think of Mexico and the actual experience of being in Mexico, they're totally different. And you know, especially like as Orthodox Christians or Christians in general, we impose that on others when we go there. You know what I mean? We start looking for a checklist of Christianity. But meanwhile, some people, you know, they may not even been exposed. I know where I've been in Mexico, they haven't been exposed to Eastern Orthodoxy. You know what I mean? And they're not against it. Like actually, they're very curious, especially when you tell them, well, no, it's not Catholicism, and then they start bringing up issues, and I'm like, we don't do that. Like we wouldn't do that. We
shouldn't do that.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that. You know what? Before we go any further, there's something I want to show you, and I think it ties in a lot of what you said, and I think where you want to go.
I want to see this. All
right, you ready? You ready? Talking about crying, because I'm a crier too lately, especially since I came to Orthodoxy. I gotta say, it's like busted me.
Well, there's certain crying that is good.
Yeah.
That you should do it.
Yeah.
There's no space left for recording.
For you or for me?
Oh no, it's for me.
Oh no.
But I'm not recording.
No, I'm recording, but it records on your end too. I don't know if that's an issue. We could kind of just keep going.
I just hit continue.
Yeah, let's just keep going, man. Let's just go with the spirit of this interview. It seems to be going pretty.
I'm enjoying it.
I love the direction.
I'm hijacking it.
No, you're not. That's the whole point.
You said that it's okay.
I told you, riff. That's the whole thing. Okay, riff off this. You ready?
I want to see this. What is it?
You must max overdrive hospitality. And we can do this. I know. I've seen people do it. I've seen people do it during a bloody civil war in the Georgian Republic when I worked there in the 90s. I watched in Georgia, in tiny villages, where I would go to do help.
Jacket's a little tight.
They were helping me. I would go into a village and I saw women, widows, who wore socks for shoes in the winter, feed me their best dinner, and then eat cornmeal for a month.
Man.
Why? I can't even say hi to my neighbor.
We need this.
Why can he do that? Why could she do that? Why? Because they know what it means to live, to be healthy.
Man, what are you doing, bro? So that's what we're going to do. What else you got? You got the time when I had too much mezcal at the Supra? Please don't play that one.
I'm not, but I think that's an important one. Do you disagree? I think your message there it needs to be heard.
I'm very thankful for that moment, and I'm happy with. I mean, nobody's ever happy with what they do, but or at least they shouldn't be. But on some level, I'm thankful to have been able to say that stuff because that one's resonated with people. But it's a little tricky, right, Mano? Because I'm in the nonprofit world. I'm trying to get your money, and I want you to give money because I believe in what I do. But I can't get away from this idea when I travel that, and I've said this again and again with my own people, my family. Our real problem in the West has been we conflated two things. We believed our Christianity could support something like capital. In other words, the pursuit of capital, just the naked pursuit of more money than you need, money you can invest. That got intertwined with, and that's good, Jesus is happy. And like that thing, that's what I'm trying to say in this clip. What I'm trying to say is that's not a problem. But stretch it out for a while. Stretch it out. Just take the idea and let it percolate as a reality. So the next thing is what about time I have for my neighbor? Well, don't spend too much time because you can actually make Jesus happy by making more money, which means you probably need to spend less time with your neighbor because obviously if they're just sitting around, they're not making more money. And don't forget, I can make Jesus happy by making more money. In other words, that whole Protestant work ethic is fine. The problem is not that it gets you more money. The problem is it gets you less love. It misappropriates the focus. It makes the focus something not asked of by Christ. And we know that's what he's talking about with the camel. It's that the camel gets misshapen. It's not that the camel can't get through the eye; it gets misshapen, and so now its ugly shape doesn't allow it to fit through the tunnel, and so you become misshapen when your priority is money. And the problem is I was taught this, you were taught this too. Well, you're a Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Probably taught it anyway. We were taught that to work hard and to be rewarded for it, they're connected.
Yep.
But that's not the way Christianity works. You know how I know? Because most Christians in history have worked really hard. Go to medieval history. And they got a little bit of money. And they still knew themselves as successful because their success was measured by Christ.
Yes.
And so they're not connected, people. Because you worked really hard and also got a lot of money, they're not connected. That's by God's grace that you have a lot of money. It's not because you worked really hard. It's not how it works. How do we know this, Mano?
Yes.
Just look around at people that you know. Just look around at people in second, third generation wealth. Do you think it's because they worked hard? Give me a break. It's because something happened with their father or mother that allowed them access. Now, maybe they turned it into more money, but again, you know, the Orthodox, we're not big on the idea that the talents in the story, the gospel story, that those talents are actually money. We know them as spiritual gifts, as a sort of a natural spiritual gift. So I'm inclined toward generosity. I'm not saying me, but a person might be inclined toward generosity. Let's call it 2 chits worth. So they should grow that into 4.
Yes.
And that's the story is not about money. It's not about material wealth. But how do we know this? It's not because all you got to do is look at the lives of the saints and the apostles. The cats that we know is really cool. They're not rich people.
Correct.
And it's if they are known to us in tradition and they were rich, it's because of how they handled their wealth. And they usually gave it away. So these are not related concepts. The problem is in our culture, they've been related. I'm not talking about been related. They are deeply connected. And we don't have to get into Calvin. We have to blame everybody. Theology's fun. I'm not that good at it. But what I'm trying to say is, like in everyday life, when you lay down and get up in an African village and you call it your home, you start to realize, oh shit, that doesn't apply here. What applies? Oh, look at that. That dude just came back. He became a doctor in Paris. This actual guy I know. He came back, and you know, he's poor in Paris because he sends every penny back. And he's not just sending it back to his family. I hate to tell you, this is what I love. Talk to a Malian or a Sierra Leonean in a cab sometime. Ask who's getting their money. Everyone's like, they're giving it to their mother. They love their mother. No, they're not. They're giving it like their 4th cousin that lives up the road that he met twice.
That's true.
That's a fact.
That's true.
And he's really giving it to what we in the West would call neighbors. Sorry.
The only reason I know this is from Mexico, because a lot of them will come will go to the U.S. They'll live in like squalor, like really bad situations. I've seen it on both sides because I just came back from Texas. I didn't see it there in Texas specifically, but I have. I've seen the areas where they live, and they send quite a bit of money back to Mexico, and it's not to their direct family. It's kind of to the block. They kind of like look at to the barrio. You know what I mean? They'll just send the money 100%. To the barrio. You know, it's crazy. Which
is a really cool concept because. Yeah. So now, if you heard me as communist there, that's a you problem. I'm not saying you, Mano. People listening, that's a you problem.
Yes.
Because the concept is that there's a body and you belong to it, and the body fed you and gave you life, and so, you know, and so what you see in these countries is that mother and father are really stand-ins for the mother and the father. They're stand-ins for your actual blood identity. And then, of course, every culture ties that blood identity to some origin, to a God. And the Christians tie it to the Holy Trinity, to God. And so what happens is if you don't have that attitude, it's a disrespect for the body. It's a disrespect for your being. Yes. The problem is we can be Christians and not have that attitude. In fact, in some ways, we've been taught that attitude is anti-Christian.
Yes.
Is communist. Now, I'm no communist because the communists of the modern era, the communists of Marx, the communists of you know, everything past the Enlightenment. Those communists, it's really important we understand this first. They're materialists and atheists first. Then later on, they do some economics. So they first establish like a theological reality, which is there's no God. And that's the way they were rolling. And so ideologically, they always are atheists since Marx and since such a thing as communism exists. They're materialists first. And so you got to realize then their materialism is going to have no marks of the divine. And so it's evil. But Christianity, as everybody knows, looks like that, but it's infused with spiritual truth. So you actually get a proper communism. That it shouldn't. Communism should be a proper Christianity.
Yeah, because even with the communist model, that example, you're giving it to the state to then give it to your neighborhood. In these cases, they're giving it directly to the neighborhood, and it's more tribal. If I could use that word or that example, it's more tribal in the sense that you're giving it to your clan. You're giving it to your group of people, and you know that by giving it to them, the life around each and every one of them, like all of their lives will improve. Therefore, your life improves when you go there. So if your mom's there, your grandmother, your cousin's there, if you help that block become a better block, all of a sudden, all of their standard of living goes up. It's totally different.
Yeah, but another thing happens spiritually is you have a home.
Yes, correct.
You know, like. That's why you'll hear a lot of sort of kids from the barrio, whether it be the States or Mexico or Guatemala. They miss home. It's not because it was of the poverty. They miss home because they're invested in a way with everyone else that we're just not. I know this from the supra. So the supra is this dinner we throw at KB restaurant. You know about it. It's Georgian. And I watch because the Tamadas who have learned to do this in the restaurant, I did 2 this week, and I saw regular old American people come and hang out, and they've heard about this weird thing, and they all come with, you know, ruddy faces and ready to drink, and I want to have fun, and then we throw them at, you know, like the humility toast at them, or a toast about humility, and they're like, or a toast about giving thanks to God, and they're like, whoa, what is going on here? But what you see is as they navigate, they start to fall in love with all of these ideas that have been handed down. But one of the ideas they struggle with big time is when I toast to ancestors, or the other one is I toast to, or the Tamada toast. This is troublesome in America. You toast to your mother's land, your homeland.
Yeah. Yes.
Boy, you should watch that toast, man. It's fascinating. So now again, 25 people, you know, they come 2 by 2 or 4 by 4. They don't know each other, they're learning each other. And then I give this, hopefully a poetic toast to your mother's land. And I'll ask people, where are you from? And they'll be like, well, you know, I was born in Reading, Pennsylvania, but then I moved a lot. I don't really have a mother's land. I don't really want to say that I have one place that defines me. That's like the number one answer.
Really? Okay.
That's the number one answer.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not close.
Yeah.
Out of 25 people at a table, 5 will have some hearty toast to like the place they know is their own.
Right.
But even the people, this is really fascinating. Even the people who have been born, let's call it Greenwood, South Carolina, raised in Greenwood, live in Greenwood, even they will like not want to embrace it. They're not like, hell yeah, my mother was born there, my mother's mother. They don't talk like that. They talk like, well, I'm from Greenwood. I haven't really been many places. It's almost like they're apologizing for their homeland.
Right. Except for Texans.
100%.
I just got back from there. Like they got it. They got it in a lot of ways, and I really appreciate that. So when I hear Texas first, I understand it as a kind of like from an Orthodox perspective, it's like family first. Like you got to take care of your family before you could, that kind of thing. So it kind of makes.
By the way, that's old world.
Yeah, it is totally old world.
And I don't begrudge any of that. I think what happens to a lot of people at the restaurant, remember, we're in Greenville, and it's not the cheapest chicken in the world. You got to come. It's all the food you can eat, drink. We get a lot of people who have moved to Greenville. They work for BMW, they work for Michelin, they work for these multinationals and corporations, and there is a hope that their homeland is like the world. Like, I want to say that I'm from everywhere so that I can respect everyone. That's definitely in the water.
Yeah. That, see, when I first heard of the Supra, the concept, the idea, we were talking about it on a call once, a couple of weeks ago. It reminded me so much of Cyprus, particularly Cyprus, more than some of the Greek experiences I had in Greece. Oh, my dog just got here. Sorry. What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy? I'm taking care of a Chihuahua. It's my daughter's Chihuahua.
This is the opposite. He's a Mexican street dog that we rescued. And he's a pit bull and a bit of Labrador, I think. But
that is Mexican amazing. I know those dogs because in Guatemala they have them too. And I love dogs, but I would rather not take a grown-up walk with a dog that is called a Chihuahua. I was doing it today, and people were staring at me, and I am not into the idea that I own a Chihuahua.
But you do, and it's on record.
I'm sure someone got me on camera. I was bumming, man. I was like, really? We have to take care of the Chihuahua? Who's going to walk it? My wife's like, you're going to walk it. I used to own a Great Dane for obvious reasons. I'm making up for deficit. We get it already. But I had a Great Dane. When you walk a Great Dane, you're like, yeah, that's my dog, bro.
Yeah. Well, you're tall. I'm not tall, so it would kind of look weird. It would be like the Great Danes walking me.
So, Mano, you're telling me you want the Chihuahua?
No, I don't want the Chihuahua. I want my dog. I love my dog. He's perfect. He's halfway to my knee. He's awesome, man. He's the best. He's staring at me.
And you found him on the street?
Yeah, we've in Mexico. It was a shelter. They were just my wife and my daughter were helping out there, and we just fell in love with the guy. Brought him home, gave him a home, and now he's in Canada living large and wearing scarves. They're making him gay over here.
Oh, he's in. Wait, the dog's in Canada?
Yeah, I'm in Canada. I just got in yesterday.
Oh, I see. Back. You got him to Canada from Mexico.
Yeah. They brought him back here, so he's now living the high life over here. He's freaking out at first, but now he's loving it. He freaked out when
he have like a male dog boyfriend? No,
he's just on his own. He's got a male cat. Another stray cat.
Keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Although weirdly...
No, they get along now. In the beginning, one wanted to eat the other. I wasn't sure who was going to win, but in the end, they kind of like dealt with it. It's all good now. We're good.
And this is in Canada?
Correct. Now they're in Canada. I'm going back to Mexico. It's complicated, jumping all over.
It's nice to be able to talk to you in Canada.
Yeah, it's strange.
Are you allowed to use a bank account? Has Canada cleaned up its fascist moment of taking people's bank accounts?
No, it's actually moving in a worse direction. They're going to be doing more of that. It seems going down the road. They're trying to pass some new bill. I can't remember what it is. It's like a new internet bill. I was looking at it yesterday. It's kind of creepy. If it goes through, it's like we're talking about straight communism. So all of that's connected. So the banking and the media and how
didn't Trudeau step down?
He did, but Mark Carney's in there now, and he's kind of worse.
Same, yeah,
worse. He's part of the Chatham House, Bank of International Settlements. Now he's here doing this kind of thing, and that's a whole other ball of wax. Your merch today. Go to borednomore.net. Let's go.
Well, whenever the banksters show up, usually something bad's about to happen.
Yeah, we're going that way.
I know this from my father's 50s and 60s, man. Bankers were your pals. Yeah, that era is over.
Well, especially American. The whole American system and the Canadian system are extremely different. So it's weird because when I talk to Americans and I tell them what it's like here or like how our government works and banking and all that, they're kind of like, really? But in the U.S., especially back in those days, there was a lot of independent banks, so and a lot of trusts and credit. What do they call them? Those
Credit unions.
Credit unions and all that. So you could get something like on a local level. American system works pretty well. Like even like I've never voted in my whole life. I always say this all the time, so all my viewers are probably sick of hearing me say this. But if I was an American, I would vote because on a local level, it does make a difference. You can vote for your
Look at
mayor,
you.
like that.
You're like a little civics experiment, like a little like would-be American. Yeah, I haven't voted. I live in America, man. Don't hate on me. But that's not true. I vote. I write in my priest every 4 years. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's great.
I just outed myself.
That's good. No. I mean, I'm looking to move that way. So we'll see. We'll see if Texas becomes more than just a place I just go to do stuff and go to my parish.
Well, I had some good experiences in Texas. I did a number of supras in Texas, including with a cat named Father Joseph Honeycutt.
Mm-hmm. And Germanus, shout out to Germanus. He's one of the ways we know each other.
Germanus is the man.
He is the man, Germanus. He's going to love that we're talking about him right now, but he's great.
Well,
he's fantastic.
Germanus is a culinary whiz kid, and also he's a prayer warrior.
Yeah.
Can you have prayer warriors in Orthodoxy? Isn't it? Well, we are prayer warriors. We're all prayer warriors or something. I don't know. Yep. I got some phraseology problems with that. But anyway,
me too.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
You want to go down a rabbit hole?
Let's do it. Always. See how good I can do.
Well, let's just do it. It's not. It's a pretty big rabbit hole. It was in 2005. I was in New York on 9/11. Okay. It was in 2005 when I first went. Something's not right, because I was actually in the Bronx and then in Long Island, so I wasn't downtown when it happened. But I remember Building 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And everybody from 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody who talked about 9/11 in New York, I was there. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought anything about Building 7. It just wasn't a conversation.
That's right.
So for people who are listening and don't know what Building 7 is, if you can still do it, go Google, because some stuff happened the last couple of days with this Tucker Carlson character. Mm-hmm. But when that building falls, whether you're a New Yorker or not, you just watch it fall. Your soul, not your brain, not your body, your soul goes, whoa, hold on a minute. Because of the way it falls, it's odd. And it falls at 5 p.m. on the same day. It's not hit by a plane.
Yep.
So I know there's all these red-pilled guys out there. And all those guys need to calm down for a minute. But I just want to say something.
Yeah.
I know everybody's like, duh, John, catch up. But what I'm trying to say is in 2005, as a grown person, most of those red pill guys weren't even alive. Mm-hmm. Or if they were like 4. So eat it. So I knew something was wrong. But then guess what? Mm-hmm. Everybody knew something was wrong. And everybody was quiet. And so I want to say that I participated in the quietude.
Okay.
But I wasn't happy about it. Because even as a New Yorker, you were like, what are you going to do about it? And what I started to realize is, what are you going to do about it is exactly the perfect disposition. It's perfect for those who want to manipulate society. And so, here's the thing. This is what I want to tell you, Menno. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it remains the real thing. Guess what? You ain't going to do nothing. You're going to pray. This is what I want to tell the red pill guys. You still ain't going to do nothing about it.
No, I agree. No, I totally agree. Well, first of all, I just want to throw one little thing in there because I was into that kind of stuff even before 9/11. Like meaning like questioning things, questioning reality, questioning what could be called conspiracy theory today, but it's not theory. And I remember some of the stuff. Some of it is. I remember watching the footage and I was showing it to people. To your point about doing nothing, and they're like, "Oh, it's all a conspiracy. It's all blah blah blah." You can't, they try to explain how it collapsed, all this stuff. But there's footage of the news reporter talking about it collapsed when it's behind him
I saw that.
the image.
Oh, yeah.
And then you show that to someone, and that's when you see the real cognitive dissonance. You see like the real like shutting off of any logical thinking. Because if that's crazy, like conspiracy theory is true, then what else could possibly be? And I remember showing footage going, how is that happening? Either he knew, and so he's a prophet, so we should talk about how prophetic this person is, or he had a script that he's reading from. It's one or the other, because the building's in the back, and he's saying it's fallen.
By the way, I went down to, it was in 2005 when I started doing all this stuff. Like I read and was stuck in, what are you going to do about it? And eventually my orthodoxy, let's just say, hopefully Christ kicked in. And I was like, I'm not going to, you're not going to do much about anything ever except for pray and love your neighbor.
Yes.
Like, no offense, pray up and down, neighbor, horizontal.
Yes.
And so, however, this is what I want to say is the thing you're discussing, I went and studied and I went and down deep on Building 7. I asked my friends, like I would always just end with like a Building 7 meme just for the heck of it, because nobody that sees it just goes, there was a fire in the basement. That was the actual NIST explanation. It's like a joke, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody can tell if something's not right. So when Tucker Carlson had, what the heck's his name? Cleveland?
I've been offline for the last couple of days. I heard something.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
But he just interviewed, why am I forgetting his name? Anyway, he's interviewing the congressman who at the time was going to become the head of the Armed Services Committee of the House, the House Armed Services Committee chair. So he was getting private intel, this character. It's not Cleveland. Why don't I know his name? I'll look it up. Anyway, he is right away suspicious. He's like, there's some things that aren't working here. And when he actually goes to try to say the things that he thinks aren't right, the FBI raids his daughter's house for reasons that remain still unknown.
Yeah.
And they raided it to try to discredit him, and it worked, and he lost the election, and or they rigged it. Here's the point, is this guy's talking. He's 77 years old. That was 20 years ago. Well, 18 years ago. And here's what's happening. It's not so much that he is present and talking. It's that people are able to hear. That's the difference.
This is true.
The spirit has changed.
It has on a lot of these subjects. And I think your point to what are you going to do? What can you do, and staying quiet and all that, but going to prayer and taking the Christian approach. And what I mean by that is, like, Father Seraphim Rose, like a lot of his writings would come off conspiratorial on some subjects. I mean, clearly, right? But the answer is like that. It's supposed to go this way, like biblically speaking, if we're going to look at it that way. Like if I could say it that way.
Yeah.
And what is our job? What is our role? Like I'm starting to actually fully think. I say wrap my mind around it, but I'm trying to right now, currently where I'm at in my development, because I come from a lot of that background, like calling things out, what was happening a couple of years ago. And now I'm at the point where, like, what do we do with all this stuff? Like now some people are exposed and they're hearing all these truths to certain things. Now, what do we do this as a Christian person? Like, how do I confront this? Like, how do I engage this? Like, what do I do with all this information, right? Do I continue talking about it, which is like kind of like the red pill approach?
You could.
And it could help to some degree, but at this point, I think all that information is out there, right? Like to discover. Now, what do I do as a Christian person? It's like I got to get right with myself, to some degree, prayer, and then like hopefully the community around me gathers, and then I create a good community around me. And then how do I apply forgiveness to this, for stuff that I'm upset about or pissed off?
Well, there you go. That's really good. See. It goes a little bit to the arguments we have as Orthodox people between ourselves, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So it's the exact same thing. Do I really want to know about Bishop X who just is doing bad stuff?
Yes, exactly.
I don't really want to know. Here's the problem is it's probably helpful that a bishop doing bad stuff or a priest doing bad stuff it's probably helpful that somebody knows because we don't want to ignore and turn away from the truth. So out of love, you have to tell the truth.
Yes.
And then in pursuit of the truth, right, you can't crush people and hate them and not love. So welcome to the exact same thing that every Christian is supposed to do since the resurrection, which is to love people and tell the truth. So
Amen.
I don't like when people, this is just me having a riff, but I don't like when I go to a parish and I'm not supposed to talk about the hard things, the truths that may upset the parish, because I've been told that before. And I'm related to a certain character, a certain priest, who's really good at talking about the hard things. And so a parish ethos that, you know, they're not talking about it and sharing about it, that's not a place I want to be. But a parish that is so truthful all the time and using the truth all the time to hammer other people, I don't want to be in that parish either.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
That's it. The royal path.
it's the royal path, and it ain't easy.
Yeah.
And so I really respect and honor people that can literally sit and talk about the hardest truths and then end the evening with the most poetic and loving and not sentimental in a negative sense, but sugary toast. And the Georgians are good at this.
Yes. Get into that. Yeah, go.
I've sat with Georgians. My initial reaction. So I went there in 1994. I went there to work in the South during the Abkhazian Civil War. Basically, is the best way to say it. And I was working with widows, and it was just a tough time, no running water, no electricity. And I've said this before, but this is the thing I want you to know, is at the table when I first started learning Georgian well enough to hear, I was like, these dudes don't believe this. So they would sound like this. Mano, I want to say to you, since your arrival at my house, only this day, I have seen in you someone even greater than life. I've seen in your heart something even greater than life. I've seen a courage even stronger than a lion. Since you've been here at my table, I've seen that your mother and father are alive with love, and your family is to be honored, as greater even than the most powerful in all of the world. And to this, I say to you, I honor you, Gagi Marjos. And you'd be like, that dude don't believe that.
Yeah.
Really? But see, he's Tamada. So what he's trying to say is something about you since your arrival has touched him. And he's not going to just say it like it's a math equation. He's going to enter a space where your being is so beautiful. All the things he said are true. And they're true in a way that gives you a real sense of who he is and what honor is and what beauty is. And he's trying to do it in a way where you know that it's not probably true the way he's saying it, but as an image and an icon of the highest things, it's really true. And what the Tamada does constantly is he tells the truth, but he adds all this beauty. And when you see a really good Tamada, what you start to realize is yeah, it's good to honor people that way. It's good to say things to people that you wouldn't otherwise say. And it's good to be a little over the top sometimes. Our proclivities in the West are to be accurate, and their proclivities are to be loving or generous. Generous is a better way of saying it.
Yes. That's what see. It's really good. We could tie in some of the stuff we were talking about about like the conspiratorial truths. You visiting parishes and like, hey, don't talk too much about that versus like, hey, like, you know, too much talk about that and finding the middle ground in this example here, because I think that's what it is. We shouldn't shy away from saying things that are true, but it's more of like, why am I gathering that information? What do I do with it once I have it? And if it's not to be somehow find like connection, common ground with the person I'm talking to, whether it's over dinner or at a dance, whatever. I've heard you speak about this, about quite a few of the experiences you've had in supras where people come from two different opposing views, whether even at your own dinner table, and somehow by the end, they're cheersing each other, they're like crying with each other. And I think that kind of ties it all in. And like that is the Georgian example that you just gave, the way I see it from when I was growing up as a Greek kid and seeing that in Cyprus.
Yeah, by the way, I'm just happen to be haven't fallen in love with the haven't. It happens to be that I have fallen in love with the Georgian tradition, but every culture has an expression of hospitality like this. Some are better than others, or better is the wrong word. Some are more, should we say, poetic or beautiful than others.
Yeah.
But people are this way, and so what the Georgian feast does, by the way, it doesn't always work because sometimes the Tamada and the people aren't receptive to their roles. So sometimes it's not so good,
Okay.
But when it's good, what the Georgian feast does is what you said is it's a royal path for people. They can both be vulnerable and tell the truth, but then the people at the table, they're loving about it. So I saw, okay, this is funny. Can I tell you this?
Yeah, I want you to tell me. Yes.
No.
He's like, no.
I saw a dude. This was pretty crazy. Okay.
Okay.
I can't tell the joke because it's not appropriate. But I saw a guy. There tends to be a joke, a humor joke, or a joke that's too humor or too the ability to laugh or something like that, or at the wisdom of laughter or something like that. This guy told a joke. Oh my God. Now, first of all, this is late in the evening, so everybody knows him already. He's probably 25, maybe 23. I remember he was trying to suave with this woman that was at the table. I'll never forget that. Another like 23-year-old. So he goes to tell a joke. Oh Lord. The joke, guys, has the C word, and I'm not talking about chocolate. Okay. It has the C word. It has the other C word for the other body part, for the males.
Okay.
What is he doing? There's feces involved. Okay. You think I'm making this up?
No,
I'm not making this up.
This is good.
And this 25-year-old brother is trying to tell this joke. Oh Lord, to the whole table, there's 20 people that he doesn't really know there. Oh. And you can't, to a mixed crowd, you can't go hard on the C word.
Yeah.
That's not gonna, you have to be one of 10 comedians in the world to pull that off. Like, you have to have already established, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And you definitely can't do it when you're not using the word ironically. It was like part of the story. Oh, it was a disaster. Oh, I feel bad right now. I'm feeling sick. I feel sick. And here's what I'm trying to tell you. So this is the moral of the story. When it was done, nobody laughed. I tried. I just went, that was something. And the table is looking at him. And then this thing happens where they go, hey, man, Gagi Marjos, that's cheers to your victory. And then they all laughed. But he heard the laugh as, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't okay. Yeah. But what the table did is they let him know it wasn't okay with the silence. And then they let him know it's okay. We still love you. And you know what? By the end, everything was fine. And it was pretty crazy, though, because you could have had, there's not a table we do in Greenville, South Carolina, where there aren't a couple Baptists that are policing the table a little bit. Like, they want to make sure. Like, I've had toasts to marriage where one end of the table was some good old-fashioned Baptists who wouldn't toast when an LGBT person on the other end toasted to marriage.
Okay.
To my wife. And you clearly, like, okay, you guys are married in that way that people get married in 2025. But so these guys wouldn't toast. And they called him out because, I'm not toasting to that. And I was like, okay, here we go. And that one was a harder fix. Because also just because I say to you, hey, guys, I want to toast to marriage, and then you have a toast off where you don't like by the way, the LGBTQ guys, they were not pulling that. They toasted to what happened is the guy wouldn't toast to her toast, but then he toasted to true marriage, and they toasted. And they said Gagi Marjos.
I see, okay.
So you see, Gagi Marjos is sort of the equivalent of the Amen in the supra table.
Okay.
So the Tamada is offering, it's almost like an actenia, like a litany, and then you toast back and say Gagi Marjos, and you add words. So it goes, here's the poetic, right. To all those on the seas and the oceans, or right. Again and again we pray, and I give a toast, to the beautiful things in life that always make everyone, remember what's important. Da, 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 and then everyone goes, Gagi Marjos. And then someone will say, may I have the toast? That person then will toast. I would like to add this. And then if you say Gagi Marjos to their toast, you're sort of agreeing with them. Because this all comes out of the liturgical tradition.
Right.
But there's an inclination when someone says a toast you don't agree with to not say Gagi Marjos. That is not a Georgian inclination, by the way. They're gonna not toast you. Now, if they do that, it's because they are trying to establish like a fight. They're trying to establish that now you've dishonored me. So now I have to do this. I'm not going to toast to your toast, and now we have to talk. And then they can go outside and fight. A lot of stuff can happen in the old world, in the old days. But when you don't toast, you're really trying to lay down the glove to say, you have disrespected me.
Yeah. Yep.
But someone who toasts to their gay lover, I don't know how that's a disrespect to me. That's the part I don't really get at the table. So I hear these toasts all the time. I'm not for gay marriage. Just want to warn everybody that's listening. I am not a gay marriage advocate.
Yeah.
I've written extensively on my Substack. That's not what I think is. I don't think it's marriage. But if someone just says, I love you and I'm very thankful to be married with you, is that actually my job to go like this? Just want to let everyone know they're not actually married. Let's just keep that in mind. Should I do that, man?
Well, that's just the thing with a lot of the stuff that's going out there. And this point exactly is like, it's about starting the conversation, to have the conversation, and that would be the Christian thing to do. It doesn't mean that you agree with whatever they're saying. You're not voting. You're not casting a vote for like a presidential candidate here. You know what I mean? Like, you're not looking like saying, "Oh, if I cheers that means I agree with it." But also, when you're having when you have conflicting ideas or opinions or thoughts, especially when as Christians, right? Is it better to just shut this person out and shut out any conversation that could be had? Let's say they go out for a cigarette during a supra, and they're like, I didn't like what you said, and they start having this conversation. Isn't that the point, to kind of get to that place where
absolutely
you talk it out, right?
But absolutely, but the Georgian moment, or let's put it this way, the old world moment when I'm no longer going to toast to you, is that you've dishonored me,
right?
And someone making a toast about their idea of what love is not a dishonoring of me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The LGBTQ guys at the end of the table who say, I just want to toast to my wife. You've meant a lot. They're two women. I want to toast to my wife. You've meant a lot to me. And since we've been married, my whole life changed. I'm not being disrespected in that as a Christian. No. Sorry. If you think you are, you got a quick trigger finger, man. Like,
yep.
How are you going to even make it through the day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, how are you going to make it through the day?
Yep.
Especially in America.
Yep.
So at that point, what I'm trying to say is I think the appropriate Christian disposition to our neighbor is that it's very rare that anybody can actually do anything to incite our passions, because it should be rare that we are at any moment ready to take them down with some sort of intellectual screed. And so it should be very rare. So let's talk about Jay Dyer, who I just interviewed.
Mm-hmm. Great interview.
Like, what's he doing on a daily basis? Well, what he does is he accepts invitations. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go around and force you into. He doesn't.
Very true.
He doesn't headlock you into having a debate with him.
Well, and just a little thing there. He gets criticized for all like his approach or whatever, blah blah. I've seen him have many conversations with people from an opposing side that come to him with respect, and they're having an actual conversation. And Jay is great at that. Like, he
I've seen that too.
Respect that. Sorry,
I've seen that too.
Yeah, and I think that's something that people overlook. It's usually the people that come with, they're not coming in good faith, or they have an agenda, or they're just spewing out some nonsense, and they're not kind of going back and forth with him. That's when he lays it down.
Well, I totally agree with you, and also I think there's something about the spirit. So let me put it like this. I don't have it in me to try to defeat you using rational terms and ideas. Like, it's not, as soon as I sense myself in that space and then winning, I'm unhappy.
Yep. Yep.
I don't want to end, Mano, this podcast by having beaten you. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get pleasure in that. Now, that's not good or bad.
Yep.
I wasn't raised that way, whatever. I lean towards sentimentality or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, but that doesn't mean that someone shouldn't, from time to time, be that person. It may be that you need to win something based on the spiritual location of the person you're speaking with and your own spiritual location. Like, where are you on the path? And it may be that certain times, certain people in certain cultures need actually Jay Dyer's, like,
100%.
meanness, whatever you want to call it, or Father Peter's wicked tongue, or whatever you want to call it, his mean tongue. And so we know this as Christians, that not everybody getting the same size pill, man. Every medicine comes a little differently. You know what I'm saying? So what I don't understand is when the people like me, who are geared toward, if there's a love and truth continuum, who are geared toward the love part, the sentimentality part, they're geared toward the ecumenical, let's get everybody around a table. If they're geared toward that, which I am, and crying.
Yeah.
If you're geared toward that, what I don't understand about those people, me, why would I be angry at Jay Dyer, who's not geared? Let him go. The question is he telling the truth? And then you go like this. He seems to be. How come he doesn't have more love? He's not that good at that. How come I don't have more truth? I'm not that good at that. But you know, the eye and the hand, part of the same body, really shouldn't judge each other. The eye doesn't do what the hand does. Mm-hmm. And so when those people get called out, I called out my brother a couple times, because sometimes I'm like, really, bro? That's what you're gonna spend all your time on this? When I do that, I should do it knowing my own proclivities.
I agree. That's a really good way, because honestly, some people need that. They need that smackdown. And you know what? I've had a past where I would have adored. Actually, I thought I would be going in that direction a couple of years ago, a year or two ago, in that type of aggressive, like, you know, truth telling, debating thing. But I just found it wasn't good for me at the end of the day.
You're a musician, bro. That's why.
You know what I mean? And so it wasn't my approach. But a lot of the times I'm watching your brother, Father Peter Heers, as well as Jay Dyer and others like him, I did learn a lot. And I was in that camp where I wanted to, like, scrap it out with people. I just realized that's not my home base, but I do like to visit it from time to time. And I'm really grateful that there are Father Peter Heers and Jay Dyers out there. And then also there's like another dear friend of ours that introduced us was Neil DeGray from Dear Port Robbins.
What up, Neil?
When he was on, I hope he watches this. Neil, big shout outs to Neil from Dear Port Robbins. When he was on Ruslan with Jonathan Peugeot, the conversation they had, I liked the approach they took, and then later your brother, Father Peter Heers, because they weren't backing down, like they weren't being like. They were going hard on it on Ruslan, like they didn't just kind of, you know what I mean?
So that's what I want to say is it's hard to tell the truth and also be communal and love your neighbor. It's a really hard thing to do. And when people do it, and by the way, many kudos to Father Peter, my brother, because he did that with Ruslan.
He did.
And one of the things I can't stand through all of this, especially, it was just mostly COVID problems. What I can't stand through all of this is people also don't realize that he can do that, because what they usually do is tune in for the knives. They don't want to, they don't actually want to eat the steak. So, so it's what it is. But I think the thing that I was given through all these years living abroad and doing our work that we do at First Things is there's a temperance in having known so many different types of people, like the Mayans, the Bambaras, the Temnes of West Africa, the Georgians, lived in France a little bit, and then not long term, but for long enough to know the French, and you just start to realize is that it's not that diversity is so wonderful. It's not that. It's that it's just everyone's groping toward the truth in a way that you may not always be familiar with. And if you give it a little time, that's why we really, really stress language learning. When you learn the language, because language is not about words. Language is about worldview. It's about paradigms. Mm-hmm. And when you can speak someone's language, you're starting to see how they see the world in that paradigm. And then you start to realize, oh, this is what an animist does. So then the next question is should I do that? No. But then that third question is that's what an animist, what's an animist do? That. Should I do that? No. But the third question is okay, but I could probably do this, like go to dinner with the dude, because it's weird. Animists also eat dinner. So like, why wouldn't I go have dinner with him?
Yeah, very true.
I'll meet you after the sacrifice of the salamander, bro.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to the salamander sacrifice, but I'll meet you after. And I find that is like an obvious way to live. But for a lot of people, you know, they have a vomit reflex that's not the same as mine. They just got to get away from the impurities.
Let me throw this at you at this point. I don't want to take up too much of your time. How much more time do you have? I don't want to make a... It's
true, because I have to interview. Yeah, I have an interview with a field worker.
How much time do you have? Let me know, and I'll throw this thing at you.
I got about 15 more minutes.
Okay, perfect. And I definitely want to get you.
I know, I'm just talking, bro. I'm talking too much. Is it okay?
That's what you're supposed to do, man. That's.
But I like you, man. I like your projects you got going on. I like what you got going on.
Thank you, brother. And I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, if I may say so.
Bravo.
Out there, like, putting it out there. I look at what you're doing with the Supra, and what yourself and Father Peter Heers are doing with the documentary Christianity. So I'm going to set you up, and I want you to tie that in together. I don't know much about your project, First Things, but it sounds like from what I did read and what I did look into it, they all kind of fit together. They may seem like separate.
Ooh, can I explain
really
that?
Together. I want you to explain that. I'll just set it up this way. It seems to me like you're doing what people think they're doing online, and I'm part of the thinking they're doing online, and you're kind of taking this community from a digital space, and you're doing an old school by like how it's been time immemorial, analog. It sounds to me like that's what you're doing. You're doing this analog. You're doing it for real. So run with any of those projects.
Great. Well, that's it. We hope. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the problems you have having me on your podcast is I'm not really an expert in anything. So sorry about that. I think Jonathan's learned to be an expert in imagery and icons or something. Father Peter's an expert in theology or whatever. I'm talking about Jonathan Peugeot. Yeah. And then I'm an expert in, I really like to be an expert in comedy, but no one wants me to do stand-up for them. But that's what I really want to do. But okay, go to this idea of First Things. Mm-hmm. So what's the first thing? And so the first thing is love God. Second thing is love your neighbor. So first things is plural in our case, is we do the first thing by emphasizing the second thing. And the second thing of the first things is hospitality at its core, which is the healing that takes place when people commune. And so First Things Foundation, that thing that we do, starts with sending people to live in other communities around the world that may or may not be Christian. Mm-hmm. And those people that go, who are usually Christian but not always, or usually Orthodox but not always, they live using a template. And the template they use is an ascetic template. So even like we've hired some young men from rough neighborhoods in America. But even they, when they go to the rough neighborhood in West Africa or in Guatemala or in Georgia, it's like rougher, okay? It's just how it works. Mm-hmm. And when they get there, their task is to live in that space, that very impoverished, I'm talking physically impoverished place, as folks live there. So one of the first things then is to exercise hospitality, is to be in communion and to share your life. Many people who try to do work with, quote, the poor, they live near or many even live far. And then they visit, and then they leave again. And the reason they visit is to find out the intel, and then they leave to go back to the place where they won't get sick or they're comfortable, to devise programs and plans for the people who live in the poverty. And the implication there is we have ideas and things and technologies you don't have, and that we're going to bring them to you. And we just reverse engineer that. Because the first thing is true hospitality is to love your neighbor. Well, who's your neighbor? The people who you meet each day. Well, first of all, then you should meet the people that you're trying to work with. Because the saints say clearly your neighbor is those who you meet on any given day. Well, then meet the poor people. Oh, so live there. So we don't give them cars when they go, because the people generally don't have cars. And so when you don't have a car, you don't get to leave the village very often, or as often as you might like. Mm-hmm. So village life becomes hard, or local life becomes hard. What do you eat? What they eat. Right? Where do you go? Where they go. So one of the things that used to happen in the village I lived is one guy had this generator in the village, and every now and then he would turn on the generator and he would project a movie onto a mud wall. Okay. And that's where I went with everybody else. And I would watch some kung fu movie. And I would think the whole time, I don't want to be here doing this. But I did it. And after a while, it was fun. But it was boring. What else did they do? What did they do if you live in the village? You talk about the weather. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've been around farmers, but illiterate farmers just talk about cows and weather and grass and seeds. That's what they talk about. And that's what our guys do. They do that in order to commune, the first thing. And then what happens is they learn quickly that people in the village or in the community, whatever, sometimes it's not a village, it's a bigger town. People there know what they need, but they don't always have the capacity to acquire the little points in between what they need. So I want to start a chicken farm. There's probably a capital issue. I don't have enough capital. There's probably a road issue. There's probably a marketing issue. But they know chickens really well, and they have the best chickens in the region, and they just have some things they got to get over. So we facilitate, from the French, to make facile, to make easier. So our whole job is to make easier that which is presented to us, not which we present to them. So then you got to decide, okay, well, which people are you going to work with? Well, your work there, which has to last at least 2 years, the first 6 months tend to avail you of the people, but you got to stay. Most aid workers don't want to stay 6 months in the village itself because there's more to do. We have to increase our impact, our footprint. So we don't worry about any of that because we're using a Christian template. You save the world by just being beautiful to one person. Mm-hmm. Each person is their own cosmos. So one person and you did a great thing. Oh, you saved the world. Look, their family eats. But you should do that for 50 families. We have a hunger problem here. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. You got an idea? Let's hear. I don't know. I'm not in that game. I'm not in scaling things. And so we're not into that. So we lose a lot of people at that point because they're like, well, I don't want to just give my money if you're not going to scale it. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Go make your impact somewhere else, Bank of America. I don't know. How's that going? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Like, how's that going? Oh, you scaled it up. Oh, look, poverty's being assisted. Now we're all eating GMO food and we're dying from cancers. Thanks for playing. Your scale usually doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. Well, how do we know that? The world's complex.
Yep.
Oh, I can help this one family in this great way, and now I can help 5,000 families. Are you sure? No. Mm-hmm. So why don't you just help one more family? I don't get it. Like the one right there that's staring at you that wants to do that. Okay. Anyway, that's our idea. So the first things is does a lot of things. That's one thing. We send people to live for 2 years. Come. We want you to come. It's hard though, so be ready. But that's one thing we do, and we've done that. That comes out of my Peace Corps experience. Another thing we do is then we take that hospitality idea, we bring it back home because we realize people in America need hospitality. So the supra is the manifestation in America of our work, which is bringing people together so that they can find really cool projects. And so the restaurant itself is like its own little garden of ideas where people sit at the table. I introduce what we do, and then they all go to work on it, and usually it ends up and they try to help through helping our guys. So they adopt a project somewhere, or they give money to one of our field workers who's working in, Mozambique. And then our restaurant was a facilitator of that extended love, if that makes sense. But we're also giving a gift because we allow people in America to experience that old world communion, and they love it. We got nominated for best restaurant in South Carolina, best specialty restaurant. We just got nominated.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, man, because it's nuts.
Yeah.
What people like to do. So the other thing that we try to do with this movie that we're making is we started to realize is that people are waking up all over the place. And one of the ways they wake up is through the dinner. They wake up to this idea that, something's off. You played that clip. Mm-hmm. Everybody sort of knows that why is it so off when we're so wealthy? Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of poor people in America. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I'm surrounded by wealth. Mm-hmm. Even poor folks see the wealth. Mm-hmm. What's so off about this? And then generally there's a spiritual awakening going on where that something's off, the red pill happens. But what happens then is people rush into a spiritual tradition. They don't know which one. They know that they were Christian, and there's a ton of like kind of modern pagan types that are coming into Orthodoxy right now. We got guys like that all over at our church. And anyway, so the next thing we asked and this is my brother fundamentally, but we all asked this question to Scooter Downey, who's the director, which is like, what are they running into? Well, Christianity. Mm-hmm. What's that? Yep. You're like, that's not easy. And so our film is me being this guy who's automata, going out into the world sort of like, what's his name? Who did the CNN show? The food show. Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. So I'm sort of.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I'm sort of Anthony Bourdain goes on the road in search of Christianity. So we go eat with people. We went and saw Tucker Carlson. That's where our clip comes from.
Yeah.
And we hung out at his house, and we went and shot guns and ate food, and so. And we're being invited to these sort of semi-famous and famous, but we're going to Africa, we're going to Central America, we're going to these places in order to sit down and figure out what the heck is Christianity, because everyone seems to be running back towards something like Christianity or their spiritual tradition. So what is it? And so we ask those questions, and we try to do it in the way I just described, in a loving way. Nobody's going to get zapped. It's not what is a woman where...
Yeah.
We're not trying to fool anybody. We're going to sit down with really smart Protestant people and find out. But we're Orthodox filmmakers, so what are you going to do? It's not like we're going to end with, Jesus is everywhere at all times for all people. You're like, well, maybe, bro. I don't know. It's going to be a little, it's Orthodox. So, but the people we're engaging with, they understand that we're Orthodox filmmakers, but we're gonna be fair, and we want to ask these questions. They're good questions to ask. What is the church? Who is Christ? These are good questions. So that thing takes on this air, though. This Anthony Bourdain comedian on the road thing, and then there's other stuff going on, bro. There's a field school where you can go for 6 weeks. Okay. We'll send you to one of our sites. We're doing Georgia first for 6 weeks. And you can get credits through colleges if you're into that. And
okay, all right.
Yeah,
so it's for students, like students.
Yeah, we're doing our very first trip this summer, August 1st. It's just like a beta test. We're trying to figure out the best way to do it. But it looks like we'll be doing summer trips, and then there's that January semester for a lot of students between semesters where we're going to offer 6 weeks and people can get credit. But also, we've noticed a lot of older people. They have hard jobs, but now with online work and stuff, they're like, I got to get out of here. I want to go for 6 weeks, and you can pay and go. So this is a money making venture for us. It's not. We're not sending you. We're not paying for you to go. You're paying us. Yeah. But that field school is cool because there's a lot of ways to introduce ideas that take root in the soul and they change people's lives going forward. And so. We call that the FTF Field School. Then there's the pod, and I'm writing books. I got a novel I'm writing. Anyway, so all this stuff, all of it grows out of one idea, which is be humble and serve your neighbor in a hospitable and generous way by listening to their ideas, not just giving them yours. It sounds so simple, but we kind of lost track, bro.
you really tied that in. Everything I just put out there, you tied it in beautifully. That was amazing. I really look forward to having you on. I'm just assuming we're doing this again. We have a lot of things to talk about. So you have an open invitation. I think what you are doing with all your projects is much needed. Well, like you're placing everything well. Like, and I'm not just saying that because you're on my show. I mean, I'm telling you, like what we're kind of trying to do is somewhat similar, but like the same ethos, let's say.
Yes.
And it's not about, man, God bless you and your work. Seriously. I think you guys are on the right track. You're approaching this in the way that needs to be. It's Christianity with a smile.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And it's actual inclusion, like not the buzzword inclusion, like not
That's
those
good,
ideas, but
That's
actual
good.
inclusion.
Yeah, it's inclusion in the sense that there's a lot to share.
Yeah.
We can do it. And it's ironic, because Orthodoxy is growing because people have taught well, I think. Priests, even online characters, have taught well that there's much to guard and there's much to hold close. But there's also much to share. So that's what we're gonna do. But people, you should know, Mano, that you're a musician. So a lot of what we're trying to do is really a translation from the musician's soul into the regular world. So we're always trying to throw music in there's always music in our restaurant. We're always trying to do live stuff. And so I know that your work, the projects you're working on, they come out of a musician's soul. So this is good. We're going to work together. We'll figure something out.
Absolutely. John, thank you so very much for doing this. And it was one of my favorite interviews. I say this all the time, but seriously, this is great, man. I really love this conversation. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. We'll talk.
Adios.